Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Vibes of Alma podcast. Well, actually, we'll see how that goes. I'm gonna try to sing at the beginning of the podcast and see how it goes. But yeah. So here we are in another little episode. They'll have on YouTube and Spotify. I'm gonna be talking about the birth experience, right? So the last episode that I posted while I recorded. The last episode that I recorded while I was pregnant. I believe it was 7 months pregnant at the time. And now I am recording with the baby in my arms as she's napping. And I think that the natural follow-up episode would be about the birth experience, right? So in the previous episode, I talked about how I had dreams. And I had several dreams. The first one that I had was with my great-grandmother telling me that I needed to meal prep and just be more intentional with how I feed my body to nurture the baby. And I honestly think that eating the healthier foods, I did eat healthier foods because I had a dream with my great-grandmother pretty much telling me that I have to, but also my body wasn't taking junk food. I didn't like sweets as much. I did not want to eat like chips or Doritos or anything that didn't have substantial nutritional value. Like it just wouldn't sit well in my body or my stomach. So it wasn't that hard to do that, and I think that because I ate healthy food for most of my pregnancy, I also felt very well. Like I also took prenatal vitamins, and the prenatal vitamins were more for me, right? Because my body is going to give my baby all of the nutrients that it needs for the baby to be able to be formed, whether or not I have enough for myself as well. So all of the good foods and the vitamins just help me have better energy and just like a better experience. And at the same time, your pregnancy journey is your own. It's unique. Like it really depends on you. Like it really just does. Anyways, so I had dreams about whenever I would give birth, right? I had 3 dreams when I would give birth, and the way that I knew that I would give birth is my water broke, but when my water broke, blood would come with it. So that ended up actually happening at the hospital. I actually ended up bleeding after my water broke at the hospital. And the reason why I was at the hospital, because originally I wanted to have a home birth. I had planned to have a home birth. I work with midwives. I had an amazing midwife who became my friend. She's great. She helped me be very knowledgeable and like pretty much take my power back when it came to pregnancy. There was a lot of shadow work that I had to undergo while I was going through my pregnancy. I had to really work through every single fear that I had when it came to giving birth, when it came to becoming a mother. And I journaled about it. I went through family therapy about it. I journaled about it. I went through family constellations for it. And it helped me a lot. It helped me be at peace with the 3 main worries that I had. One of them was a miscarriage. One of them was a stillbirth. And then another one was hemorrhaging. And I sat down and I journaled about each one of them. I did family constellations for birth and the fears that I had around it. I also had another situation where like my body was changing, obviously, because I'm pregnant, right? Or I was. And I wasn't taking the changes of my body very well. So I also did family constellations on that to help me embrace pregnancy and the changes that I'm going through. I was able to kind of be at peace with the fears that I had, to the point where like if something were to happen, right, like I am prepared. The fears that I worked through didn't erase the fears, but it helped me be at a way better mental state, an emotional state for me to deal with the situation if it were to arise. So yes, so when my water broke, blood came after my placenta ruptured, And then it became kind of like, how can we get the baby out as soon as possible? We were past the C-section, so we continued to do a vaginal birth and delivery, which is amazing. And we did a vaginal birth with a vacuum assist, which that was just to make sure that the baby was able to come out quickly. Because the placenta ended up rupturing, she was not going to continue receiving oxygen, so it would have been very, very stressful for the baby, potentially maybe her not being able to come out alive. So the vacuum just helped expedite things, and it caused a lot of trauma for me down there. Not like it wasn't to the point where like I was destroyed, right? But it was faster. So because it was faster, it was a little bit more traumatic for me down there physically, and I ended up hemorrhaging on the inside. So then one of the fears that I had ended up coming true, right? Like I was hemorrhaging from the inside, and it ended up becoming this like huge thing because I was bleeding and it was forming into a clot, and it was like a very big clot, and it was very, very painful. From what I remember telling my husband that it was more painful than the birth itself, than me delivering the baby, just because with the contractions, I had a break between contractions. With the hemorrhaging and the blood clot forming, like the hematoma, it was constant pain that just kept building and building and building because the blood clot kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I had a dream about that too. I had a dream about the birth and how the baby was going to look like, that my husband was going to be present, that she was going to come out through my vagina, that I gave birth to the placenta, but I gave birth to 2 placentas. So it was another after the fact that with my midwife, we realized that I gave birth to 2 placentas because the first one was my actual placenta and the second one was the hematoma, the big blood clot that I had. I had to push twice in my dream. But I had a lot of dreams. And I had the dream about what was going to happen, the hematoma. I had the dream about bleeding out and the placenta rupturing and all this stuff and the hemorrhaging. And it was dual purpose, right? Because during my pregnancy, I received the message of when I give birth, I can do cards again. I can start reading cards for myself again. Cool. That's what I thought. And I didn't realize that I was dreaming about what was going to actually happen, because I couldn't make myself think that. I was just like, there's no way that that's what's going to happen to me. No, I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going to receive that. But that's what did happen. And because I had those dreams, I remember in all of those dreams, I was calm, I was cool, I was collected. I knew that I was going to be fine. So because of those dreams, I was also calm, cool, and collected during the whole situation that I had during my birth and after my birth. And yeah, like it was pretty intense, and I'm still recovering now while I'm recording this. I think it's been 2 months since I gave birth, and I'm still recovering. I still am not 100% where I used to be when it came to what happened during my birth experience. And I'm slowly healing my body. I've been resting and I've been recovering, and I'm doing physical therapy as well, just to help with everything. And I can say now at 2 months that I'm a lot better too emotionally. I am gonna continue processing the birth probably for the rest of my life, right? I don't think, even if it were a normal birth, like no complications whatsoever, it can be a traumatic experience for anybody. And I know that people that go through normal births just continue to process and uncover their birth experience, giving birth to their children, for the rest of their life as well. So I know that that's going to be the case for me. But yeah, I guess it definitely put me in a position where I was close to death, and because I could go into more detail as to like everything that happened around it, but I'm not really feeling called to do all of that, to go in depth into that. But I was close to the verge of death, and it's also interesting to think about that. So I went through a death doula training in January 2024, and in November and December of 2023, I ended up doing a ceremonialist mentorship with Mali Okalani in Sacred Women's School, right? And in November and December, we learned about different rituals to hold space for different people in different situations of life. Like, for example, if someone is wanting to prepare for birth, what are different things that you can do to help prepare them, to help them open their womb space and their energetic body to that? If something is blocking them, what can you do to help them come to face with what is that they need to heal, right? Like, do you need to heal your mother wound, your inner child, right? Your inner teenager? Like, what is it that you have to confront and look at in order for you to make space for this life? And during this training, I myself was called, because we had to like work with each other and do the different rituals, to work with my mother wound, right? Like, that was the last thing that I did before I got pregnant, actually, to work with my mother wound. Like, in my mother wound, I mean me. Like, what is it that I have against myself to become a mom? Because I was resisting that for so long. Like, I knew that I wanted to be a mom, and I knew that I was going to be a mom, because back in 2022, I had a dreamlike experience where I journeyed into the underworld. We're gonna get baby coos here. I had a shamanic journey where I underwent, where I met my baby. She was around me, and I met her, and I saw her when she was about 3 years oldish at the time, 4. And she told me her name and everything. That was in 2022, so I knew that I was gonna have a daughter at some point. But I was resisting being a mom. So when I did this training in 2023 and I focused on dealing with my resistance towards motherhood, I did a beautiful fire ceremony for this in my home. And then my baby let me know. Yes, you did, girl. My baby let me know that I was going to be pregnant within the next year. And I was like, oh, heck no. I need more time, girl. I'm not ready. And she was like, okay, you got up to 3 years. But in reality, I got pregnant within a year. I got pregnant 6 months later, actually. So, anyways, back to this death situation, right? So, like, in this training that I had with rituals, I learned how to be able to help someone's spirit and their body transition into a better life. How to do the great flight is what we were taught and what it was called in the mentorship. Pretty much separating the energetic body, light body, from the physical body in order for it to really be able to be released, right? That way it doesn't stay stuck here, and it's able to peacefully go up to the skies and the heavens. And because of learning about that, and because of me being able to practice that on one of my ancestors, my great-grandmother, actually, I practiced it on my great-grandmother, who ended up coming back in my dream to let me know about different things that I needed to do to support my pregnancy in the best way possible. So because of me doing that, and the peace and the closure that it brought to me, I was curious about death doulaship, and I had a scholarship to complete the course in January of 2024. And I didn't really do anything with the death doula training, and then I got pregnant. So it was beautiful for me because I had just learned about death, and then now I'm going to learn about life, about birth, right? Because there's birth doulas and there's death doulas, and both of them serve both of them are devoted and are in service to this portal of life and death. Life comes from this portal and death goes to this portal, right? Such like a black hole, white hole type of situationship. And I felt very fortunate in that moment when I learned I was pregnant, not only because I was going to have a baby, which I'm really excited about, and I'm very grateful to have her with me, but also the fact that now I learned about death from this portal, like one side of the coin, and now I'm going to learn about the other side of the coin through like actually embodying pregnancy and embodying giving birth and bringing life into this world. And when I went through what I went through, giving birth and being so close to death while also having given birth to life, it was also a very humbling, extremely humbling experience. Not only am I grateful pretty much every day that I'm alive and my baby's alive, I'm also grateful that I got to be in that portal, in that in-between space. I'm speaking for my experience, but I'm sure a lot of mothers out there can also testify to this. But when you're in labor, you're in this in-between state. Like, time doesn't exist. Oh my gosh. Like, there's a bunch of things that happened from the moment that I got checked into the hospital and I got induced for labor until I gave birth. And from the moment that I was induced to the moment that I gave birth, I can't tell you how much time I spent in each different room. I can't tell you how much time I spent in the first stage of labor, second stage, third stage, active labor, whatever they're called. I can't tell you. My husband can, and my doula can, but I cannot tell you the time at all. To me, it all blended together because I was in that liminal space, and it's so hard to explain to other people. And yeah, sure, like, I can tell you that I went through maybe 36 hours of labor. I don't freaking know, but those 36 hours felt like 4 to me. Like, if I were to go back and tell you how much time I spent like with contractions, I don't know. I don't freaking know. I really don't. In the moment, it didn't feel like it was 36 hours. So it's insane. You're really in that portal and you're sitting in that in-between space. And for some people, because of the fact that I was induced and I was medicated, I also had to be realistic about the experience that I had. Not only that, but I guess I can call her a mentor. We'll see how it goes. But I have a wonderful friend and just person that I look up to that did a reading for me before I gave birth, maybe a month before I gave birth. And she is an amazing medium, and she shared with me that my ancestors are telling me that I have to be okay with taking medication, that I have to be okay with doing things for my pain management when I'm in the delivery situationship, and also like how to integrate like my spiritual practices that I have right now in the plan of birth that I had at the moment with medical practices that I don't necessarily have in the time. Because by the time that I was in the reading with her, I was going to have a home birth. My plan was to have a home birth. Point blank period, that's what I wanted. And this girl knew, and my ancestors let her know that was not gonna happen. I needed to do it. I know, girl, that's not how we came here. That's not how we got here. So, that reading and her telling me about me having to be okay with pain management also gave me the green light and made me feel okay with doing things that I was considering to be hard-nosed for me and my birth experience. Plus, girl, when I was giving birth with the medications they give you to induce birth, because Pitocin makes the contractions faster, it makes them more intense than they're supposed to be in a natural way. So it came to a point where I was like at 3 centimeters, 4 centimeters, having contractions minute on, minute off, minute on, minute off, and it just kept getting more and more intense. And I'm like, this is 3 centimeters, 4 centimeters, and I've been like this for I don't know how long. My peeps tell me maybe like 2 hours that I was like that, and I was like, I can't do this for another 6 centimeters, because you're supposed to get to 10 to give birth. And that's when I was like, well, pain management it is, let's go, give it to me. So because of that, I know that if I was completely natural, I probably would have been able to also tap into other energies in the spiritual way when it came to giving birth and being in that portal. But because of the medications that I had going all over my system, I think I was somewhat delirious to those feelings. Thankfully, me and my doula, we created a little altar, so we had that there and we had that present, and it was very reassuring. I had my rosary as well in my hand, so that was very nice and reassuring as well. I had my own altar at home. It wasn't complete because I gave birth early, but I did create an altar at my house as well because I wanted to have a home birth. So that was also beautiful. And, I did the breathing exercises that I knew. I did the movement exercises with my husband that I knew. I prayed. So I did the things that I knew to do while I was in this liminal space, in this portal of life and death. And it's humbling to also think about. I literally did touch both. I touched life and death. Well, at least I almost touched death. I wasn't really completely dead. But yeah. And I know that I'm not completely out of processing what happened. I know that I'm not completely out of digesting what happened, and I'm not forcing the amount of time that it takes for me to digest the situation. But I do know, and I've been told very, very many times between my astrologer and this amazing medium, that there's a antepartum Ashley and there is an afterbirth Ashley. So I know that I'm not the same person that I used to be, and I know that I'm becoming a better version of myself, and that it's slowly coming back into my body after giving birth, because that's something else too. It's like my soul kind of left, it feels like, and all the hormones raged and all this stuff, and now it's like it's slowly coming back into my body, and I'm slowly coming back into my body, and I'm slowly coming back into being normal and kind of like feeling like myself again, whoever this new self is. And this is birth is birth. That's I don't know what else to say about birth. If you're thinking about being pregnant and you're listening to this and you're thinking about giving birth, I would suggest yes, you should create a plan, whatever, but the plan, what really happens is up to God, I guess is what I can say. Like, you have no control over the plan. You have no control over birth. Whatever you plan for may happen, may not happen. That depends on the person. I know people that their birth plan goes well, just like how they want it, to a T. And I know people that their birth plan is not at all what actually happens. And so I think that even though the birth plan is a good thing to have, so you're mentally prepared, the best thing that you can do to prepare are a couple things. One, you need to prepare mentally, first and foremost, mentally and emotionally, on how you're going to handle giving birth. Because yes, you can do physical exercises to help you. You can do physical exercises to prevent tearing and to help you with positioning. But really, that's more so your body is, so your body is familiar with the feelings and sensations your body's going to go through, or maybe possibly go through. But it's like when you do exercises to prevent tearing, it's not 100% foolproof. So you'll get used to the feeling and you'll be connected better to your pelvic floor, and potentially it'll help reduce the risk of tearing. But if you need to have some sort of expedited situationship, or if your baby's head's huge or whatever, or if the baby comes out a little faster than normal, you're gonna tear, and that's part of the process. And I promise you, tearing is not that bad. It really is not that bad. It looks like it and it sounds like it, but I promise you, tearing is nothing compared to the contractions that you feel. But anyways, the main thing is you mentally and emotionally being ready. And that's the first thing that I would say. The second thing that I would say is, during my pregnancy, I worked through all my shadows and all my fears that were coming up as they came up. During your pregnancy journey, you are making space for this baby. As a more emotionally intelligent adult, hopefully, because you're going from maiden to mother. Like, you're not going to be this person that's only taking care of themselves now. Like, you are now having to take care of another human being. You can't be at the same level emotionally as a mom as you were before. So that's another thing. And I'm going to add a third thing to that. So the third thing is this: learn as much as you can about your mother's birth experience with you. Learn as much as you can about your grandmother's birth experience with your mom, and then your other grandmothers with your dad, if you can, if you have access to do this. Also, learn as much as you can about your partner's mother's experience. Your mother-in-law, we'll just call it for now, whether you're married or not with this person, because the placenta is made up of your DNA and your partner's DNA. So it's very important to take into consideration your mother-in-law's history when it comes to pregnancy, just as much as your own family's history. Why? Because it's like, for a lack of a better example, it's like cystic fibrosis. If you have two parents that have the DNA compatibility for cystic fibrosis, they can give their child that disease. But if only one of them has it, or neither one of you has it, you don't have to worry about it. And similar things can happen with your birth experience. Did either person between your family and your partner's family, does anybody deal with high blood pressure? Did anybody have any complications during birth? Did anybody have cesareans? Why did they have cesareans? Was it a choice of the person and the mom? Or was it because of a medical emergency? If it was a choice of the mom, was this decided upon due to anxiety? Or was this decided upon out of autonomy? Right? So there's a lot that goes into it. And not only that, but in society, there's a lot of expectations that the woman is the one. If you hear tapping, by the way, I know this has been like 13 minutes-ish now since you might have heard the tapping. It's me tapping my daughter because she wants to sleep. But anyways, there's a lot of expectation that the woman needs to eat healthy, needs to do all of the things. But the health of the sperm also affects the pregnancy of the woman. If your man is over here partying it up, drinking, doing recreational drugs or non-recreational drugs, not working out, and not taking accountability for their health at least 6 months before conception, that can affect the mother. There are some things that happened to me during my pregnancy that I don't have a history of, but my husband kind of does. I was having those symptoms from my partner because I had his DNA inside of my womb and my placenta. So it is important. It is important to know what is happening with your husband, what happened with his mother while she gave birth to your husband. And if you can get into what maybe his grandmothers went through while giving birth, that would also be great. Like literally as much as you can figure out and find out about birth, the better, because that can help you be more mentally prepared about the possibilities that you might go through. Because at the end of the day, like, birth is something that you can't control. Pregnancy is something that you can't control. Pregnancy and birth are things that are just gonna run their course naturally. The more that you know, the better prepared, and the better you can deal with what may or may not come up physically while you're giving birth in pregnancy. And then mentally and emotionally, that's the work that you have to do for yourself as well. So there's a lot that goes into it, in my opinion. And yes, I'm not kidding. You do have to be prepared 6 months beforehand. Like if you are starting to think, oh, I kind of want to start having a baby soon. The moment you have that thought, I want to start having a baby soon, that is your green light to start eating healthy, reducing any alcohol, definitely reducing alcohol. I know that I said recreational activities, but low-key, cannabis is not that bad, especially for women when it comes to their body. I think that would be more of a relationship with you and how you feel about cannabis and how you utilize and work with cannabis. But any other drugs or recreational activities, for the most part, if they're natural and plant-based, you would have to see what really sits well with you. But if you're not used to how to work with mushrooms or ayahuasca or anything else like that, it would be better for you to just be as mainstream as possible and just deal with organic foods and healthy foods and teas to prepare. And exercise and healthy food, healthy living. 6 months for you and the man, for you and your partner. Because your egg and the sperm, they both need to be in prime condition, period. Not only for the health of the baby, but for the health of the mother. Because she needs to be healthy while pregnant and while giving birth. Like, she's about to go through one of the most intense experiences of her life. She needs all of the support and good setup that she can. So anyways, I think I'll end it with this for this little recording. And if you have any more questions regarding pregnancy preparation, I do know, and I'm doing a course with Aya Maria, and her Instagram page is Seed to Body. She is amazing. She is a doula, and she knows a lot about indigenous practices from the Andes in South America, and she also knows a lot about the scientific side of pregnancy and birth, not only the traditional and spiritual side of pregnancy and birth. So she has been able to create this beautiful network of doulas as well that have taken trainings and certifications under her. I'm taking a class, but I'm not gonna become certified in it. But there are other women that go through the class and they go through extra steps and practices to become certified. So I will say that this is legit, And they're a part of a network under Seed to Body that can help you really prepare for pregnancy. Because it's not, yes, you can prepare for pregnancy while you're pregnant, but it's better for you to prepare for pregnancy before you're pregnant. And it's not only about physical health, it's also about emotional, spiritual health as well. So these people can help you really get on a very intentional place for you to give birth to this baby and be pregnant with this baby. So I would really highly suggest for you to find this page and just look at it and see if that works with you. Again, is at Seed to Body on Instagram, and she's amazing. And she would be a great resource. And even though, yes, I am taking her course and I do know about some of the practices, I am currently undergoing my own healing experience right now when it comes to my birth and my pregnancy and my process. So if you do want somebody to hold space for you and to really guide you, you can find them and see. If you have any silly questions, or if you have any questions just period, you can always ask me. And if I feel like it's okay, what you're asking now might be a little much for me to be able to hold space for you, then I can also just transfer you or refer you to a different person, because my doula is amazing, so I could refer to you to her and refer to you to this Seed to Body page as well. If you're comfortable with me and you're comfortable with asking me questions and you're just curious about asking me questions, I welcome them. I love talking, so feel free to do that. And if you want someone to really, really hold space for you, maybe when you ask me, I might think differently about this, but I also want to just outsource the fact that there are people that are intentionally making this their life's work, like the doula that helped me, and like the people that are being certified under Seed to Body with Aya Maria. So yeah, that's a little shout out for today, spreading the love and the support for people depending on their specialty. And I hope that today you were able to learn something and, gain some experience, some insight, something, right? That's, I think, my goal, just to be able to share what I know and for people to just kind of broaden their horizons from their brains and their minds and their spirit. So until next time, y'all, thank you for listening to the Vibes at Alma podcast. Bye.